Man, guys, I'm telling you, I'm more on the side of the average American that we need to be worrying about. Okay. But when we are starting to have millionaires, like not multi-millionaires, but just millionaires, they make 1 to 3 million. They're worth 1 to 3 million, good amount of money, but they're not uber rich. When they start complaining that they don't have money and they can't pay the bills or they're paycheck to paycheck, that is something to worry about going forward. Okay. It's not that we just need to take that all, like the Bible, but we just need to take that as it is. Like people that have way more money than the average American are also feeling the tension, are feeling the stress of the financial market right now. And I'm telling you guys, if we're having millionaires cutting back on their vacations, then we're really in trouble. Like, damn, like I want a vacation. So if millionaires are cutting back on vacations, that means I'm not going to be able to afford a goddamn vacation. You know what I mean? So we're going to get into it, guys. We got a whole bunch of stuff here. We even got a little clip of Joe Biden saying the economy's so strong. He added so many jobs to the economy that he claimed. Okay, he claimed to add more jobs than we lost during COVID, but I got the receipts for that. So we're going to go into it. All right, guys. But hey, happy Wednesday. I'm excited to get this video done. I just want to make sure the average person is just aware of just what is going on. All right. And I think there's more people like me out there than there's not. So we're going to keep just bringing the facts to the table, guys, and let's leave emotions at the door, all right? But welcome to Getting to the Facts. I'm your host, Andrew Curiel. Make sure we smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, but we're going to hop right into it, guys. This is from CNBC.com. All right. Millionaires are hoarding cash, betting on higher rates, CNBC survey says. Millionaire investors are adding to their mountains of cash, betting on higher interest rates and weak stock markets in 2023, according to the CNBC Millionaire Survey. More than a third of millionaire investors, 34%, report keeping more of their money in cash, according to the survey, which survey households with 1 million or more in investable assets. They now have 24% of their portfolio in cash, up substantially from the 14% they held in cash a year ago. And guys, just based off that, okay, these are millionaire investors. You don't take cash out unless you feel that everything is going to drop. I mean, absolutely everything. Because if they didn't have faith in the economy, in the US economy, why would they take it out in cash unless they wanted to make sure they had a liquid asset, right? What you would do in this situation, unless you thought everything was just going to completely come down, is you would put that in gold. You would put that in silver. You would put that in things that retain value. And this obviously is not financial advice. I'm just saying based on how I've done research and how I know how, financial markets work and where do you put your money when you want the most guaranteed percentage of an increase off that money. You put it in things that can't really change with the economy, right? So if they're taking it out of the stock market and they're keeping cash, which millionaire investors, I'm telling you guys, people that have money, they don't keep cash. They use credit on a low interest rate. So they're just playing with play money. They're not playing with their real money. Okay, they only use their real money when they have to pay off things and they have to buy assets. That's when they use their real money. So that's why this is concerning for the average person. And this is why I thought this was very important to get into. But then over here, we look at here, more than a third of millionaire investors, 34%, report keeping more of their money in cash, according to the survey, which surveys households with 1 million or more in investable assets. They now have 24% of their portfolio in cash, up substantially from the 14% they held in cash just 1 year ago, according to the survey. Of the survey respondents, 28% said they have purchased more fixed income as they expect interest rates to remain high. The results echo a recent survey of whatever the hell that is, that found global high net worth investors had a record 34% of their portfolios in cash or cash equivalents, such as money markets, CDs, and other vehicles. These investors are moving from growth to value to protecting their assets, says Ilias Ghanem, global head of Capgemini Research Institute for Financial Services. Right now, it's better to be safe than sorry. Wealthy investors are still cautious on the stock market, but not as bearish as they were at the start of the year, while 38% of the millionaire investors say the S&P 500 will end the year down. A slightly larger portion, 40%, say the market will end the year higher. But if we scroll down here, guys, let me see. Millionaires are more bearish on the overall economy, however. A majority at 60% expect the economy to be weaker or much weaker at the end of 2023. One reason for their caution is inflation. Millionaire investors are still betting inflation will persist for years, potentially keeping interest rates higher for longer. More than half of millionaires say inflation will not fall to the Federal Reserve's 2% target for at least 2 years, with 11% saying it will last at least 5 years. There are wide disparities by generation. Since an inflationary stock market and economy are new phenomena for younger investors, 3/4 of millennial investors say inflation will come down to 2% within 2 years, with 1 in 4 saying it will hit the target 2% within a year. That compares with 59% of older investors who will say it will take longer than 2 years. And honestly, I think I'm more in line with the older demographic when it comes to the stock market. Guys, the Fed, if we're not paying attention, the Fed just implied not that long ago that they're not gonna necessarily say they're gonna stop raising rates, which almost guarantees they're gonna raise rates at least one more time, at least one more. So even if it's one more, okay, they don't make these increases. They make these increases every 3 to 6 months, whenever they have a meeting. Okay, it's within 3 to 6 months. So if we have one more increase, okay, and even if we don't, like let's say we don't, but they don't say they're not going to in the future, that just leaves the door open for them to raise rates again down the road. And if we don't see a stagnation, where we don't see a plateau of the rates not going up, then we're just going to keep seeing this unfold. Because guys, I'm telling you, once the Federal Reserve says that the rates are not going to go up from here on, okay, we're going to have 1 to 2 years minimum of the rates staying where they're at, of no adjustment whatsoever, because they want to see the economy in the US bleed. In order to get inflation back down, because it's been so high, in order for they get back down to that 2%, they need to stop people from spending money. That's not just the average person. And that's what's so weird about the economy, is because it's more predicated like on how good the economy is doing. It's more predicated on the people that are actually making money, like the millionaires, the billionaires, people like that. That is what drives the economy forward. So until the millionaires start bleeding, the Fed is not going to stop raising rates, because if the millionaires, guys, I'm telling you right now, okay, when we're talking about the 1%, it's not millionaires, it's the billionaires that we're really talking about. The top 1% in the United States are not millionaires. All right, guys. I mean, they're just not. There's a lot of millionaires in the United States, and especially now, I mean, to have the same buying power as someone who made $70,000 in 2007, you have to make $103,000 in today's economy. So it's just the value of the dollar has gone so low to where everyone's making more money, but it's not valued the same. That's why they're making more. That's why they're getting more. It's not valued the same. And because of that, guys, we're seeing such an artificial economy, and it's getting to a breaking point. It's getting to a breaking point. And we can really see it's getting to a breaking point when millionaires are starting to say that they're living paycheck to paycheck, right? And that's where we go here. we go right over here to CNBC, Your Money. 70% of Americans are feeling financially stressed, new CNBC survey finds. Inflation, economic instability, and a lack of savings have an increasing number of Americans feeling financially stressed. Some 70% of Americans admit to being stressed about their personal finances these days, and a majority, 52% of U.S. adults, said their financial stress has increased since before COVID-19 pandemic began in March 2020. According to the new CNBC Your Money Financial Confidence Survey, long ass name, conducted in partnership with Momentive. Anxious and uncertain about whether they can get a better handle on their money, some may be intimidated by the prospect of creating a budget or unsure of where to stash their cash to get the highest returns. And if we go back down here, the cost of the basic household expenses, rent, groceries, and utilities are all higher than a year ago, weakening consumer purchasing power. Nearly 60% of respondents cited inflation as the main contributor to their financial stress, followed by economy-wide instability, 43%, rising interest rates at 36%, and a lack of savings at 35%, according to the survey of 4,336 adults, which was conducted at the end of March. And I mean, on top of this, guys, we got the increasing cost of debt. The survey found most Americans, 58%, are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to make ends meet. Many are relying on credit cards to cover any shortfalls. Meanwhile, nearly one quarter of those surveyed said credit card debt also contributed to their financial stress. Government data shows credit card balances are rising and delinquency rates are increasing. Household debts levels surged by $38 billion in February from a year ago, according to a report by the U.S. Federal Reserve. I mean, guys, I don't know how much more evidence we need to know that we are not in a good place with our U.S. economy. Okay. And if we're not in a good place, the rest of the world's not in a good place, because the rest of the world's economies are really based off the U.S. economy. The amount of money they have invested in our stock market and different businesses, that's what really makes the U.S. economy the superpower of the world when it comes to the financial industry. But this is just super concerning, guys. I mean, this is concerning. We got over $1 trillion in credit card debt as a nation now. It's impossible to buy a home. The price for groceries, the price for gas, the price to just to freaking live is through the goddamn roof. Like, if you're making $50,000 a year, which is the national average in the United States, if you're making $50,000 a year, I don't even know how you're surviving. You obviously have to live with family, because you can't pay rent that's on average for a one-bedroom apartment in Arizona right now, $1,600 a month. You can't have rent. You can't have a car note. You can't pay insurance. You can't pay for groceries and gas. And I mean, guys, it is absolutely crazy with where everything's going, and it's only going to get crazier because we don't know how to pay attention to what's going on and elect the right people. Okay? Like I say, Trump isn't freaking perfect at all, but I would much rather go back to the 2019 economy that we had under Trump and deal with his mean tweets than deal with this bullshit. Like, to be honest. So, I mean, guys, that's why we need to pay attention. All right. And again, I mean, we just go back to the housing market, right? Americans think it's the worst time ever to buy a house. Let's read here. Americans think it's the worst time ever to buy a house. That's according to the latest Gallup poll, where a record 78% of Americans, 78% of Americans said they believe it's a bad time to make a home purchase. This is the highest that share has been since Gallup began tracking this data in 1978. This is the worst time to buy a house since they've tracked the data since 1978. And guys, from 1978 to like the late 1980s, interest rates were from 13 to 16%. Yeah, was the price of housing at like 80 grand? Yeah. But the interest rates were 13 to 16%. That was the worst time up until now that we've seen the housing market. So I'm telling you guys, it's just absolutely crazy the times that we're in. I think people need to really wake up and be ready. Excuse me, for what we're going through and what we're going to be seeing down the road. But home prices were up 38% in April of 2023 compared to the same period in 2020, according to Zillow's Home Value Index. Homes on the market are also harder to come by. Housing inventory dropped by 28% year over year in April, per Zillow data. At the same time, mortgage rates are on the rise for the first week of January in 2021. But for the first week of January in 2023, those rates were 6.48%. Guys, so the interest rates went from 2.65% in January of 2021. 2 years later, so the entire Biden administration, the rates went up to 6.48%. And the cost of housing hasn't come down, guys. The cost of housing hasn't come down. It's still super inflated. So it's like we're running into a brick wall with our economy. Like this thing is going to pop so quick. People are not going to be ready for it. Like they're just not. And that's another reason that I started the podcast, guys. I mean, because I just want the average person. I got a ton of friends I went to high school with. I still keep in touch with. I got a bunch of people that I've known throughout life. And, I mean, they're struggling. I'm paycheck to paycheck. I'm making like $80,000 a year. Like, I mean, yeah, I got a wedding I'm paying for, but I mean, a lot of my expenses are just my bills. It's absolutely crazy how if you can make $80,000 a year in today's economy and you're barely able to save. I mean, just barely able to save. That is super concerning, and we need to reverse that immediately, guys. We need to reverse that immediately. And, I'm tired of people like this current administration that are just trying to gaslight us the entire time. They're just gaslighting us the entire time, guys. And I got a little video clip of what Joe Biden says, how good the economy is doing. He's trying to say how many jobs that he's brought into the economy. And I got receipts for how many jobs he brought into the economy compared to actually how many jobs we lost from COVID. And we'll see if he's in the positive. All right. But let's watch this clip here. We're only going to watch like a minute of it. All right, guys. Not even a minute of it, I don't think. So let's watch this, see what he got to say.
We're going to get it passed, come hell or high water. And folks, my plan for the country is to make the economy work for people like you, because when it works for people like you, it works for everybody. Like I said, in my first 2 years, I've created nearly 13.5 million jobs. More jobs in 2 years than any president has created in a 4-year term. More. 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. Where is it written? Where is it written that America will not lead the world in manufacturing? I don't see it written anywhere, because we are leading the world. Unemployment has been below 4% for the longest stretch in 50 years. We've recovered all the jobs lost during the pandemic. We've added millions more. People are coming off the sidelines to go to work. More than 700,000 people joined the labor force last month, which means higher share of American working age Americans are now in the workforce than any time in the last 20 years. Job satisfaction is higher than it's been in 36 years. While unemployment is down, inflation is down as well. Remember, the experts said to get inflation down, we need to spend the mantra of economists for a long time. You need to get inflation under control. You need to lower wages, and you need higher unemployment. Not on my...
I mean, guys, this is the definition of gaslighting, okay? And like I said, when I told you I got receipts, okay? We're going to go right into this when he's talking about how many jobs that we gained, okay? This is from the University of Minnesota's education page, okay? This is not a .com. This is not some weird-ass spot. This is from the University of Minnesota. And this is actually from an article that was made back in May 8th of 2020. So this was just, we were what? The freaking pandemic started in March. So this was like 2 months into the pandemic. So this is as fresh as it gets. So they knew the numbers. The U.S. jobs report for April brings sobering, if not unexpected, news. The country has lost 20.6 million jobs since mid-March, resulting in an unemployment rate of 14.7%, a level not seen since the Great Depression in the 1930s. The number of jobs lost more than doubles the number seen in the 2007-2009 Great Recession, when 8.7 million Americans lost jobs. Before the pandemic, the United States marked a 50-year unemployment low in February, with just 3.5% of Americans unemployed. Guys, we lost 20.6 million jobs. Okay, 20.6 million jobs. Let me say that one more time. Okay, that is a ton of jobs. A lot of those were expected to come back after the brief 2-week stint that we had. But this was over 2 months into the pandemic, and we still had so many. I think when they first made this article, they assumed that once they said that it wasn't a mandate for the 2 weeks, everyone would just open back up. But there's a lot of Democratic states that did not open back up. Big ones like New York, like California, like Pennsylvania with Philadelphia. I mean, you had a ton of places, Chicago. They didn't open up right after the 2 weeks. And that's why I think a lot more of those jobs became permanent losses than not. But we lost 20.6 million because of COVID. Okay. And Joe Biden just claimed on video that we didn't look. I think he said 13.6 or 13.5, which is so stupid when it comes to that. I don't understand where he's getting that number. But let's just take a look. The U.S. economy. Let me go over here. The U.S. economy added a record 6.4 million jobs in 2021, rebounding strongly from an unprecedented losses in the year prior due to the pandemic. Great. So we had 6.4 million added off that 20.6. All right. And let's just make sure we do the math while we do this. All right, guys. Let me bring my phone up here. We got 20.6 minus 6.4. All right. We got 14.2 million jobs left that we got to get. All right, guys. Let's go to the next year. Historic job growth in 2022 from the Economic Policy Institute.org, a .org website. Nationwide, the U.S. economy added 4.5 million jobs in 2022. So let's minus 4.5. We still got 9.7 to make up until we're back at a break even. Let's go to the next one. And according to this, more broadly, job growth has gradually cooled in 2023 from a monthly average of 312,000 early in the year to about 200,000 more recently. 200,000 monthly average. Let's go based off that 200,000 monthly average. 200,000 times 8 months, because we've had 8 full months. We're on the 9th month, but we just started. So 8 full months. That's 1.6 mil. So 9.7 minus 1.6. We are still 8.1 million jobs away from break even, guys. Stop with the gaslighting. Can we please stop with the gaslighting? Obviously, we have not gotten all the jobs back that we lost. And inflation's higher. And the cost of just absolutely everything is through the roof. I mean, guys, just give me what's real. Just give me what's real. Like, this is what honestly, I wish, even though I wouldn't have started this podcast if we didn't have it, I wish we didn't have this type of gaslighting, because I just want people to be honest. Just be like, I don't care if you're the president of the United States or you're a part of the administration. You need to just be real. Like, let us vote you in and control the United States based off actual facts. You know, I mean, that's why I named this thing Get Into the Facts, because you have to look at the actual evidence that's available in these situations. You know what I mean, guys? So I hope you guys enjoyed the topic. It's just something that when it comes to our money, we need to pay attention to it. We need to be aware of what's going on. And I just want every average American to be a little bit more aware of what's going on. And I mean, guys, this last election, we only had like 150 to 160 million people in this country vote. We have over 330 million adults in the United States. Okay? 330 million. So we barely got just under half of our country that's voting. I want the average American who does just a little bit of research, just a little bit, just to get your perspective and stuff like that. Can we just get most of the country to vote and be just a little bit aware of what they're voting for? Because when it comes to Joe Biden, guys, all you had to do was Google a little bit. He got kicked out of the 1988 presidential election for plagiarism. Okay? Like, nobody wanted him. He hung on the coattails of Obama just to get vice presidency. And he even said, quote unquote, that he's the first well-cut, well-mannered black person to ever be available for the presidency, basically. And that's a rough quote, but that's really what he said. Look up the video. You can YouTube it. Okay. It was racist as hell. But we're just going to ignore that because we just don't like Trump. All right, guys. But we need to pay attention to what's going on. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you like the video here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next video.